Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive. Today, we're going to be looking at a short story. It's all about a chance encounter that really, gets you thinking about, how we treat each other.
Right.
And the power of connection. So picture this.
Yeah.
You're on a plane.
Right.
And there's this kind of jaded, wealthy entrepreneur guy named Ethan. And he happens to be sitting next to, wait for it,
Okay.
Morgan Freeman.
Wow.
But here's the thing.
Okay.
Ethan doesn't even recognize him.
Oh, no.
He's so caught up in, his own world, success, status symbols, all that stuff. And his initial interaction with Morgan Freeman is, well,
I bet it's pretty awkward.
pretty cringeworthy.
It is. It's a great setup, though, right? You're immediately thrown into the scenario.
Yeah.
And it forces you to think about those snap judgments we all make,
Yeah.
Like, we see how dismissive Ethan is towards Morgan Freeman, just assuming he's, some random guide on the plane.
Totally. And it's interesting because the story doesn't really paint Ethan as, a villain, you know.
Right.
He's successful, but underneath that kind of polished exterior, there's this, deep sense of unhappiness. He seems really lonely.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, what's brought him to this point? Why is he so disconnected?
Well, and it taps into that misconception, right? That success equals happiness.
Right.
The author hints at that, Ethan's struggle. His sentences are short, clipped, and he always has to, mention how important he is.
Yeah, it's all about status.
Yeah, and, he's got all the material wealth, but zero real connection.
And speaking of interesting setups, I think the setting of the plane is so clever.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's this confined space where you're kind of forced to interact with whoever's next to you. It's like social experiment.
Totally. Like a microcosm of society, right?
Right.
People from all walks of life crammed together. And you have to kind of deal with it. And the author uses that, you know, to explore themes of judgment, perception, and how people can change.
Right.
It's really fascinating.
And the irony. I mean, here's Ethan totally overlooking the person next to him who happens to be a world-famous actor.
Yeah.
Known for being this warm, wise figure.
It's a classic don't judge a book by its cover situation.
Totally.
We all do it, though, we form these opinions based on surface level stuff.
Yeah.
And we don't really dig deeper. And I think the author's trying to challenge us on that.
It's a good reminder to slow down and really see people for who they are.
Yeah.
Not just the labels we put on them.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what happens next?
Okay, so it's a small moment, but it completely shifts things.
Okay.
The flight attendant, she recognizes Morgan Freeman, right? And she asks for an autograph.
Oh, wow.
And suddenly, everyone on the plane knows.
I bet Ethan is freaking out.
Yeah. You can just imagine, his face turning red, all that pretense arrogance, it just crumbles when he realizes who he's been talking to. It's such a great moment.
Awkward. So what does he do?
He tries to apologize, but you can tell it's hard for him.
Yeah.
His pride's hurt.
Right.
He's embarrassed. You can just feel it.
But I'm guessing Morgan Freeman, handles it well.
He does. He totally does. He's just so calm and understanding.
Yeah.
He sees through Ethan's act. And instead of getting mad, he gives him this piece of advice. He says, son, don't let your pride eat you alive. A kind word can heal wounds you never knew existed.
Oh, wow. That's powerful.
Isn't it? It's this moment of grace, right? When you least deserve it, that's when you need kindness the most.
Totally. And it's a turning point in the story. Right.
Yeah, it feels like Morgan Freeman sees something in Ethan, chance for him to change. But it's not just on Morgan Freeman, right?
No, of course not.
Ethan has to choose to accept that kindness.
Yeah. To let it affect him.
Yeah, it's a great example of how kindness can be a catalyst. But you have to be open to it.
Right. So it's not just about being nice. It's about what you do with that kindness.
Exactly. And that's where we start to see a little change in Ethan.
Okay. So how does that happen? What does that look like?
You can tell he's shaken up by this whole thing.
Yeah.
He can't sleep. He's wrestling with, guilt and this new awareness of how empty his life is.
Right.
And then he notices Morgan Freeman writing something in a small notebook.
Oh, this is good. I bet Ethan, can't resist asking about it.
Ethan. He's got to know.
Yeah.
And so he gets the courage to ask. And Morgan Freeman, in that calm voice of his, explains that writing, helps him process things, capture those little moments and reflect on them.
That's a beautiful way to think about writing.
It is.
Almost like a meditation, right? Connecting with yourself.
Exactly. And Ethan, he admits he's never really written like that, you know?
Right.
Always focused on work stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Emails, business plans, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So Morgan Freeman, being the encouraging guy he is, tells Ethan to give it a try.
Yeah.
Says it might be therapeutic.
That's interesting.
Yeah. This little suggestion, it becomes like this turning point.
Okay.
It gives Ethan permission to explore his own thoughts and emotions.
Right. Which is something he's been avoiding.
Yeah, totally. Like Morgan Freeman gave him a key to unlock a whole new part of himself.
But it's not just about putting pen to paper.
No, no. It's about confronting those hard truths, those things he's been burying.
Right. Facing the stuff that makes you uncomfortable.
Exactly. And it's amazing how Morgan Freeman doesn't force it on him.
Yeah.
He just nudges him gently, you know? Creates space for Ethan to figure things out himself.
Leading by example.
Yeah, exactly. He embodies kindness.
Right.
And that's what makes it so impactful.
So their conversation, it goes beyond just the initial awkwardness.
Oh, totally.
They start talking about books, their experiences, philosophies.
Yeah, it's like they're peeling back the layers and connecting on a human level.
And I bet that's so refreshing for Ethan.
I think so.
He's used to people wanting something from him, you know?
Yeah.
But here's Morgan Freeman treating him like a regular person.
Yeah, it's that genuine connection we all crave, right?
Totally.
That feeling of being seen for who you really are.
So Ethan's opening up. He's starting to question things. But he's got a long way to go, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, he does. He admits to Morgan Freeman that he's actually really unhappy.
Wow.
And lonely. Despite all the success and money.
That climbing the ladder only to realize it's leaning against the wrong wall thing.
Exactly.
So how does Morgan Freeman respond?
He says, pay it forward.
Okay, I love that. So simple, but so powerful. But like, what does that actually mean for Ethan? How does he do that?
Well, that's where we'll pick up next time. So pay it forward. It's like more than just a saying, you know, it's like a whole philosophy. And for Ethan, it becomes this way to break out of this cycle of like negativity.
Yeah. Yeah. He's so focused on himself.
Yeah.
So how does that actually look? Does he like start donating tons of money, or is it something else?
It's both, actually. The cool thing about paying it forward is like there's no set way to do it.
Okay.
It's about like being mindful, I guess, and choosing to be kind in every interaction, big or small.
Okay, so how does Ethan start? Does he try to fix things from the past or just change how he acts moving forward?
He does both. He starts by emailing his parents.
Wow.
They haven't spoken in years.
Yeah, that's a big step.
It is. He admits he messed up, you know, and asks for forgiveness.
That must have been really hard for him.
Yeah, to let go of that pride and admit his mistakes. But it's like a really powerful thing to do.
It is. It shows strength, actually.
Yeah, to be vulnerable like that.
So he's making things right with his parents. But I bet it doesn't end there.
Nope. He starts reaching out to old friends he hasn't talked to in forever.
Right.
Colleagues he wasn't nice to, even employees.
He's trying to fix the damage he's done.
Exactly.
And I imagine he's approaching all these people differently now, right?
It's not about him anymore, you know?
Right.
He's genuinely interested in them.
Yeah, like actually listening.
Yeah. He offers support, helps out, and doesn't expect anything back. It's a total change from before.
Right. It's not just about making up for the past. It's about, like, being kind every day.
Exactly. Little things, you know, holding the door open, giving someone a compliment, just taking the time to listen. It all makes a difference.
It does. It's like that saying, kindness is a language everyone understands.
I love that.
But I wonder, does Ethan keep this all to himself, or does he feel like sharing his story with others?
Well, he decides to write about it.
Oh, wow. Like a blog post or something.
Yeah. He writes about meeting Morgan Freeman and how it changed him.
That's pretty brave to put it all out there like that.
It is. He's owning his mistakes.
Yeah.
But he's also hoping to inspire others, you know?
Right, to show that change is possible.
Yeah. And the response is amazing.
People connect with it.
Yeah, his post, like, goes viral.
Wow.
People are talking about humility, second chances, all that stuff.
I guess everyone can relate to feeling lost sometimes.
Yeah. And to see someone like Ethan, who seems to have it all, admit his struggles, it's powerful.
It gives other people permission to do the same, you know.
Absolutely.
But the ripples don't stop there, do they?
No, they don't. Later on, Ethan sees a video of Morgan Freeman giving a speech.
Interesting.
And it's like everything comes full circle.
Right.
He's talking about all this stuff they discussed on the plane.
Wow.
Kindness, forgiveness, the importance of connection.
Like life is imitating art.
Yeah.
So what does Ethan do?
He starts speaking at events, too. Yeah, sharing his story and what he learned from Morgan Freeman.
He's like passing it on.
Exactly.
And I bet people really respond to that.
They do. It's a powerful message, you know?
Yeah.
That true happiness comes from connecting with others and making a difference.
But does Ethan ever get to actually talk to Morgan Freeman again? To thank him?
He does. At a gala in New York, they run into each other. Oh, I love it. So what happens?
Ethan goes up to him, so grateful.
Yeah.
And he tells Morgan Freeman how much his words changed his life.
I bet Morgan Freeman was touched.
He was, but he says something really interesting.
Okay.
He says, I didn't change you, son. You chose to change yourself. That's what makes it powerful.
Wow, he's right. No one can force you to change.
You have to want it.
So how does the story end? Does Ethan keep going with this new way of life?
He does. Years later, he's sitting on a park bench, thinking about everything.
He seems content.
Yeah, he is. And then he gets a comment on his blog post from someone who says Ethan's story changed their life. The ripples keep going.
It's amazing.
Yeah, you never know how you might affect someone else. So what does Ethan do?
He's humbled, and he keeps living by those principles he learned.
That's great.
It's like he planted a seed, but it was up to that other person to make it grow.
That's beautiful, really. So as we finish up this deep dive, what stands out to you most about this whole story and the power of kindness?
You know, it really shows how connected we all are.
Yeah, it really makes you think about all the ways, like, we're connected without even knowing it.
Right. It's like the butterfly effect.
Yeah.
But for, like, good things.
All
Every
right.
little thing you do, it can have huge consequences.
Yeah.
And this story, like, shows that so well.
And what about the whole idea of, like, changing yourself?
Yeah.
I mean, the story doesn't say Ethan becomes, like, this perfect person.
Right.
He still messes up sometimes.
Oh, yeah, totally. He's not a saint or anything.
Yeah.
He still makes mistakes. He has doubts. But he keeps trying, you know? He keeps
Yeah.
choosing kindness. And I think that's what matters.
It's a process, right? It's not like you flip a switch and suddenly you're a new person.
Exactly. It's the everyday choices you make. Little by little, things change.
Yeah, I
Wow.
think that's encouraging. Sometimes it feels like to change, you have to do this huge makeover.
Right.
But this story shows that even small things can make a big difference.
Yeah, totally. Like, just being a little bit kinder, more patient, it all adds up.
Like offering to help someone or just listening when they need to talk.
Exactly. It all matters.
And that's what I love about this story. It's not like, here's the magic formula, do these steps and you'll be happy.
right.
It's more like we all have the potential to be kind.
Mm-hmm.
And if we tap into that, it can change our lives and make the world better.
Absolutely. And it's not about being perfect. It's about, like, accepting who you are, even the messy parts, and still trying to be the best version of yourself.
I love that. So as we wrap up, what's like the biggest takeaway for you? What really stuck with you about this story and kindness?
For me, it's that kindness is something you practice. It's not a one-time thing. You have to keep working at it, you know?
Yeah.
It's like a muscle you got to exercise.
And the more you do it, the easier it gets.
Exactly. And the more kindness you give, the more you get back.
I love that. It's a journey, not a destination,
Right.
especially in a world that feels so divided sometimes.
It is. But we can choose to be kind, even when things are tough.
Right. It's a choice we make every day.
And when we choose kindness, it makes us feel better, too. It's not just about other people.
I think this deep dive has been such a great reminder of that.
Yeah, it has. It's been great talking about this with you.
Yeah, thanks for being here. And to everyone listening, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.